Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic/Non-Classic. This is episode number 1023 and Doubleshot number 917. I got two DC trades for you. Now, normally, lately, the theme has basically been just whatever, basically, like a book is basically by the same character, or, well, same writer, or just two volumes of the same series. These are two DC trades that I have mixed feelings about these particular series. Okay, first up is a really good series, and it's got a good creative team, but what a confusing story to read. This is Wonder Woman by Walt Simonson, though it says Walter Simonson, his real name, and Jerry Ordway, which they have the title of the storyline right on top, The Game of the Gods. Yes, it's a six-part story. Yes, a six-part story that covers issues of Wonder Woman Volume 2, issues 189 to 194. Yeah, this is basically the arc that came between Phil Jimenez's run and the Greg Rucka, in the 4-year Greg Rucka run. The story of his storyline is this. Wonder Woman is suffering from amnesia. For some reason. Apparently, no one knows who she is. Oh yes, and also I thought this was really, really weird. I'm thinking, what is this, the 70s? I mean, this is before she joined the Power Meta-Human Affairs. She's back wearing the white outfit from the 70s. Why she's wearing this? I have no idea. Yes, and also, she gives herself a haircut about partway through the story. Yeah, she cuts the long, beautiful hair that she's known for having. Oh, in case you're wondering, does this happen any other time in the history of Wonder Woman? The answer is no. It doesn't. There is a lot of really weird things happening in the storyline. Oh, and by the way, guess who was the only non-Wonder Woman character who associated with the Wonder Woman comic book who shows up in here? Ganthet from Green Lantern. I mean, yeah, I would think that they would have maybe a guest star appearance, maybe by Superman, or, I don't know, maybe Batman might help Wonder Woman. No, it turns out a fan basically recognized her. A fan of hers who has lots of Wonder Woman memorabilia, able to get back her costume, but not get back her tiara. She has to go to Themyscira to get that. Oh yeah, and also, there's a representative from Themyscira. By the way, Queen Hippolyta is not the queen at this point. This is before she got back her throne. Somehow, that's never thoroughly explained. Somehow, there's a messenger to get back from Olympus, and apparently Olympus is empty for some reason. Yeah, the story does not give an explanation of why in the world Olympus is empty. The Zeus himself was found later on in the story, apparently turned into a statue, for some reason, by this mechanical thing that appears in the cover. Yes, some strange alien thing. There's also a guy named Trevor, which I've never seen this guy before, and as far as I know, the guy doesn't appear again after this. It's like, okay, we have really good artwork on the part of the Jerry Ordway, who's a very fantastic artist. But Walt Simonson basically has written better stuff than this. And this story is just so confusing to read. And it's something, though, DC has had to collect this. It's fine. I got no problem with the fact that he has to collect this because, well, both guys are really good creators. I'm very happy they put this in trade. But could at least get some context into this, because right after this, Wonder Woman's back to the status quo, basically having her embassy. Yes, as for how in the world she lost the memories, it's just never explained at all, or where the heck this creature came from, because Walt Simonson left after this particular story wrapped up. Probably because people were not liking this storyline. That, or he had a contract dispute with DC. But it has very, very good artwork, and it's got very good cover art by Adam Hughes. Yes, Adam Hughes does the covers, which are really good. From what I can tell, he was actually the cover artist for Wonder Woman for quite a long time. I think he started with John Byrne's run. Yes, I think that's when he started his era as a cover artist. Yep. I'm going to give this book roughly and this is a surprise to you all, a 7.5 out of 10. Mainly because I was so confused with the story. It's not a terrible story per se, but my gosh, it was so confusing to read. Oh yeah, and about halfway through the story, her hair turns back normal length anyways. No explanation at all. It just says she's back to normal. Next up is a slightly better story, with We Are Robin Volume 2 Jokers. This collects the last 6 issues of the We Are Robin series. Those of you curious though about this particular title. This was a title where apparently a group of teenagers decided to think they're Robin, form a gang, and basically, well, become basically unofficial vigilantes for Gotham City. At one point, this gang was so freaking huge it took up 2 buildings. Yes. And here's the thing about this series. The only character you probably recognize the entire title is Duke Thomas. Now, the thing with this storyline is this. Now, 7 is part of the Robin War storyline. A storyline that had 0 build-up. Well, there's a little bit of build-up in this series, but barely at that. And apparently, it's like the people who did the storyline just did it on a whim and just basically did it. And this also one thing about this is part of the 52 era. Let's just shove in part of a storyline and not give a particular reason why to do it. You couldn't just skip over it. I mean, the current trades actually do bother to skip over the crossover issues. This is a period of time when it didn't do that. Nope, we had to have about 5 or 6 trades collect one storyline. That was essentially put about 8 parts. You can easily put in one damn trade. But no, you had to put in here. If you want to read this trade, skip over issue 7. You can read that in the Robin War trade. As for the whole thing with the Jokers. Now, after the events of Robin War, Duke Thomas disbanded the Robins. Yep, he disbanded the group. Somewhat. This one I think is still kind of operated, but the Robin gang was officially over. Yep. So, he and a couple other people decided just do regular vigilante work. And basically we get to the main villain of the storyline. And he is by far the stupidest villain I've ever seen. The guy is barely interesting. Heck, he's got a very dumb history. Like, apparently, get this. Okay, apparently his parents did something really stupid to him at age 12. You know what they did? They forced him to go through plastic surgery at the age of 12 because they didn't like what his face looked like. Last time I checked, you gotta at least have a good reason why. Usually people who get plastic surgery are people who want it. You can't exactly force somebody to get plastic surgery because you're a parent. This is by far really stupid. I mean, what was wrong with his face that they didn't like? I mean, they're technically the people who created him. Why the heck would they change his face for? Oh yeah, and apparently the guy's been in and out of juvie like 3 times in the past 6 years. That's to explain here. Apparently he's also expelled from 2 schools, and he's a big fan of the Joker. So he starts up his own Joker gang. Because he's bored. Yep, a Joker game. Okay, fine, bring in the Jokers. Except this is a very lame way of doing it. Yes, a very lame way of doing it. Okay, let's have him paint his face chalk white because he's a fan of the Joker. Don't have him dye his hair green like the Joker. Oh, in case you're wondering, where the heck is the Joker during all this? The actual Joker? If you really want to know where he is, he's suffered through amnesia. Thanks to Scott Snyder. Yeah, the Joker himself, outside of a picture, does not physically appear in this damn title. Nope, he doesn't. L. He has never appeared in this entire series. Yep. So basically, Duke Thomas beats up these people. They go off the jail. The Jokers go off the jail, and that's the last you see of the group. Well, there's a couple of the characters from the series who do follow Duke Thomas into his mini-series Batman and the Signal. Yeah, the girl he basically meets up in here, the one who's kind of his girlfriend. Yeah, she actually stays with him. Also, Duke Thomas keeps his jacket from his days from the Robin gang. Yeah, he actually keeps his jacket. As a matter of fact, we don't see him in the Signal costume. He's seen wearing the actual jacket because he liked it so much. Also, Alfred is revealed to be the person behind. Now, basically, Duke Thomas figures out in here that apparently Alfred is the one behind the Robin gangs. For some reason. No idea why. Yep. And it's a good thing Scott Snyder basically took Duke Thomas and gave him a much better idea what to do with him than Lee Bajimero. Which, if you read this title, you're like, okay, with the exception of Duke Thomas, why should we give a damn about these characters? Yes, that was the ultimate really big problem with this series, and why this series got canceled so quickly. Was because people had trouble connecting to these characters. I mean, Duke Thomas, we already knew who he is. That wasn't much a problem. Also, his parents are in here, and they are still affected by the Joker's gas, thanks to the events of Endgame. Yep, Endgame. The storyline which caused Batman to himself suffer through some partial amnesia, because he had allegedly his final battle with the Joker, even though that later on in Dark Knight's Metal, he's able to be alive and well and his hair's perfectly fine. But at least the story is a lot more, let's just say, a little more interesting than, let's say, the Wonder Woman one. This book does have okay artwork. I mean, the Wonder Woman book has got better artwork than this. This is basically done by Jory Correa, Rob Haynes, and Carmine D. Garmencio, who basically later on to become the artist of the Flash. This is the villain of the storyline. Yeah, this guy. Which they don't even give the guy's name in here. That's one thing I thought was really stupid, the part of the writer to do. I mean, you see him, you're like, okay, you're wondering, what is this guy's name? Yeah, because I completely forgot who this guy is. Yes. Now, I'm looking up to see exactly, like, if you read this, you're like, okay, what is this guy's name? No, seriously. That's one thing I do not like about this storyline. They do not list off the guy's name. He is just some random guy who got this surgery done to him. I mean, the guy looks, okay, apparently his parents did not like his face, so this is him without his makeup. This is what they did to him. They made him look like this looks awful. Like, what parent think this is good for their kid? Yes, this is by far really, really stupid. Yes, this face looks awful. Like, why was it changed to this? This is garbage. Yes, and their parents thought this was okay. Oh yeah, and apparently his mother is a chain smoker. Yep, his mother is a chain smoker. Well, it's not a chain smoker. Basically, his parents don't want to talk to him at all. Okay, apparently his name is Johnny. Okay. Yeah, and his parents just don't care about him at all. Yeah, and apparently so his mother is a smoker and his father is a drunk. Okay, why should we give a damn about this guy? No, really. Yeah, this guy is probably by far one of the most boringest villains I have ever seen. Yes, he's got a terrible looking face, which apparently his parents had to do to him when he was 12, which I think is really stupid. I mean, his look as a villain is fine. I have no problem with the look. I mean, it's basically, if you look at it, it's simply put a street Joker. Yes, it's an okay look for him. I don't have a really big problem with it. But, oh yeah, and the scarf he wears looks very similar to that of the Tom Baker scarf. Yeah, it's pretty much the same exact design. It's like the artist must be a big fan of Doctor Who, so let's have your villain for your storyline, who formed his own gang, the Jokers, let's have him be a rip-off of Tom Baker for some reason. Well, mainly rip-off his freaking his awesome scarf he had. Though it's a different color. Yeah, from the look of it, it looks like it's the color of the second scarf he had in the series. Yes, because they got rid of the popular scarf he had that he had for his first 6 years of a 7-year run. During his last year, they replaced with this awful purple and, like, red scarf, which, luckily enough, when Peter David to go, first thing he did, destroyed the entire scarf. Because even he realized that scarf was an awful looking scarf. And it looks like, though, the artist must have took the idea from that scarf and gave it to this freaking guy. Yep. But, would you probably pick this up? Like, if you're a Batman fan, I would only pick this. If you're a Batman fan, you'd probably pick this up just because Duke Thomas is in it. That's really the only reason why. And maybe if you're a fan of the writer, Lee Bargino, which, as far as I know, this is the only book he's ever written. Because normally this guy is an artist. He's a really damn good artist. By the way, this is actually one of his covers. Yeah, this is a really good cover. And now you're probably thinking, okay, the cover looks good. You're probably thinking maybe the interior artwork will look like this. Nope, it's one of those cases where the interior artist does not do the exterior. The exterior doesn't do the interior. Here's the interior artwork for you. Really kind of crappy looking art. It's really not that good looking artwork. I have nothing against the artist who actually does this interior artwork, but I am not a fan of this interior artwork at all. Yeah, but at least this one has a better, interesting story. At least it's not confusing like Wonder Woman. But if you want to look at the two trades as a whole, this trade has got much better artwork, but this one has got slightly better writing. Yes, slightly. Not by much. But aside from the interesting thing, this is okay. I give this book roughly 8 out of 10 because the story is a little more interesting than the Wonder Woman one. Yep. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. I still have more videos coming today, so until we see you next video, which should be Black Clover and Fairy Tale. Bye.